Okay, right. It's green. Mm, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, huh? So this is about the example that I'm going to show you, okay? Right. Okay, last week, actually fully, we have covered Gantt chart. What is a Gantt chart and how do you analyze a Gantt chart? How do you use a Gantt chart? I think Dr. Lee gave you a very, very detailed lecture on how to use Microsoft Project. And in there, she has also spoke about a lot of the techniques that we will be using. In fact, some of the techniques I haven't taught you yet, like cash flow and all that. But yeah, but she already showed it to you, and there will also be some other notes that I'll be putting it up for you all as well to explain the stuff. Okay, so yeah, what happened is so we've already gone through Gantt chart. We've already gone through all the details of how to produce a Gantt chart manually and also through a program called Microsoft Project, which is going to be very common in your career. Uh, the two programs that you can buy on the market is generally for scheduling will be Microsoft Project or Primavera. Primavera is very expensive, very, very expensive, and usually company don't keep them unless they are very specifically very well trained with Primavera or the job actually call for Primavera, like Sarah Energy, Bahad, their organization calls for Primavera. Then that means the consultant who works with them will need to know Primavera. Okay, so but generally I think about 80, the market is usually about 70 to 80% of people are need to know Microsoft Project. So what Dr. Lee gave you was a very good rundown on step by step on how to do how to do schedule based on Microsoft Project. Okay, so basically in the Gantt chart you need to know your earliest your sequencing, the finish to start or start to finish or finish to finish. That relationship, and then you need to know your parallel activities or your sequential activities. You need to determine the duration. I think in terms of duration, I've already gone through a lot of details with you in the previous Tuesday class, whereby we talk about, duration is actually, you need to really learn to calculate that using the first step is production rate. And then the second thing that you need to do is risk analysis on the time on the duration that you've allocated to the particular activities. So if you don't do the risk part, it is still okay. So, but you need to know production rate. That's the best way of doing it. Okay, that is the most minimum way of doing things. Okay, so what happens is you need to know your resources, all your resources, data, and what you have and what you're being allocated, and then you found the balance of what you're going to use actually on the site, and then with the numbers that was given to you, you'll be able, and then you'll be able to uh, look into the production rate for each of the for each of the resources that you have, and then with the numbers of resources that you have and the numbers plus also the rate of production, then you can, with the amount of work that is available that you already can see from the drawings and your BQs and all that, then from there you can calculate the duration that is necessary for that quantity of work to be done with that amount of resources, and with that resources having that specific production rate. So duration is a very important critical factor that you need to have in order to determine the Gantt chart. Okay, so I think Dr. Lee also mentioned that you move in, you key in duration and then your start date and finish date. If you key in a start date, automatically when you key in the duration, there will be a finish date. But of course, you need to set up the working days and also when is a holiday and all that. So you need to set it up in the Microsoft project first before you can actually run it properly. Okay, because 365 days is a year does not mean that 12 months that you have every day is a working day. So the calculations need to be as accordingly. 8 days means 8 working days, and 8 working days in a week, it means 1 week plus 1 day, because Sunday you don't work or Saturday you don't work. So you will be finishing from Monday to the next week, Tuesday. That will be your 8 days in Microsoft project calculation. So these are the things that we need to actually fully comprehend. Okay, so then after that, you draw the Gantt chart. Gantt chart also will give you a lot of information. Okay, you can actually do tracking Gantt later on, and I think she explained to you what is tracking Gantt. I will also explain to you what is tracking Gantt in a while as well at the end of the class. And after that, we will also need to know. In her lecture, I think she mentioned about resources as well, key in the resources as well. And then she also mentioned that that one will be useful for your cash flow and all that. So those are all program way of doing it. Okay, so what I'm giving you, okay, in the next few classes, especially when it comes to cost management, time cost management, it will be also revolving around that. But that is the basic theory. That is the actual thing that you need to know before you can move on to the calculation of Gantt chart and also cash flow and all that. So just be reminded that what Dr. Lee gave way of presenting the cash flow, the Gantt chart, the tracking Gantt, and the resources. What I'm giving you here is something that you need to know before you even touch the program. Okay, so program is something there for you to assist you to do your work. But if like all your RC, you can use Orion, you can use Esteem web software. But if you do not know the basic calculation of RC loadings, shear force, spending moments, and all that, then you will not be able to comprehend what the program gives you is accurate or not. Okay, and in fact, Microsoft Project also gives you critical path diagram. But actually, if you look at what is given there, it's very different from the analysis that is being set up, okay, by ourselves manually. So in fact, for every project, you should set it up manually and calculate that manually and do not depend on program to do the calculation for you. Because mainly I can see that Microsoft Project, usually they don't close the loop at all. So the lines of critical path can be very, very confusing for a lot of people. Not to say that it's wrong, but it's just that the program set up in a way that the calculation can be, the presentation later on can be more confusing than your manual calculation. Okay, so I think just to be reminded of that, don't take it like everything is programmed and then you depend on the program and produce things from the program and expect to hand in the assignments and get good marks from it. What you should know from every subject is to do things manually. That is what you are here for, okay? If you are here just to get what to use the program, you can easily go to, when you graduate, then everybody can be engineer. Everybody can just go and buy program for certain amount of money and get the training, and then buy Esteem, get a training, then you can be a RC engineer. Okay, you can buy Microsoft Project. It comes together with some of the words and Excel, and then you can request for training, and after training you can be a project manager. Okay, so this is the logic behind me especially not so keen on program. Okay, program I need you to know always at the end of the day after you know all the theories already. Okay, so I think we've gone through all that Gantt chart and all that. And then I've also gone through. I have a pre-recorded lecture last week on CPM. It was totally it was a very simple example. I think the whole idea of CPM, critical path method, and path analysis has already been given to you, okay? And today, what we have to do is we need to give you some more examples for you to know your work better. Okay, so first and foremost, you have to remember that when we talk about CPM, you need to come up with a network, and drawing that network is usually the hardest because you need to determine that sequential activity and parallel activity, what is coming up next after the activities, and there's a lot of consideration in coming up with that particular network, and it's not easy. And here in when we're doing the subjects, of course, it's easier because we will tell you the sequence. We will give you the sequence. We will give you the table, and we will give you the chart even. In exam, we will also give you the table of predecessors and all that. And then you can just analyze from there. But when you are the one who's going to create that table, this is the one that is going to be a bit more difficult, okay? So for your assignments, I did not require you to do that. I only need you to do resources planning. Okay. Let's talk about assignment later. It's only about resources planning and coming up with a Gantt chart, and just to get you to fill Microsoft project to present the Gantt chart using Microsoft project, just to give you a feel. And I can tell you that Microsoft project is going to just take about 2 or 3 marks out of the whole 10 marks, and the rest will be on resources. Okay. So once you've got your sequence up done, and then you draw all your network, it's all nicely done with the arrow and notes. And there's 2 types of networks, like PDM, precedence diagramming method, or what we call the AON. And then we also have the arrow diagramming method, or AON, or AOA, sorry. AOA basically means activities on the arrow and node, okay? So the difference is where you're placing your activity. It does not say that analysis is any different, okay? It just basically means where you're going to put your activities for your analysis, okay? It can be presented on the arrow itself. It also can be presented on the node itself. I personally prefer AON, okay? Why? Because AON is clean. It's very clean, okay? You build up your Excel, you put all your Excel worksheet, you break it up into 6 columns, 3 columns, and then all your start which is all nicely put up in a box, okay? And then you can have one activity, one box that is consisting of 3 columns and 3 rows. And then you can duplicate that along your Excel worksheet. And they look really good, and it looks really clean as well. Whereas AOA, I will tell you, you have to use a little bit of drawings, on top of the arrow to do the analysis, and it can be a bit more messy and looks a bit more untidy in that sense, okay? So I personally prefer that AON. And AON don't deal with dummy activities, okay? AOA deals with dummy activities, and we'll explain that later. Okay, so can I ask if any one of you have any questions from resources to duration calculation, from the resources planning, to your resources calculation, to your resources production rate, to leading to the calculation of duration, and then from duration you come up with your Gantt chart, after you add in all the sequential and also parallel activity, after you've analyze the overall your overall network, in that sense. So anybody has any problem with that bit, that you are just so confused that you just cannot get it, it's just getting too messy? And here, critical path starts off with that network. You already know the sequence, you already know the duration, This is like, you plan for your duration first, you plan for your resources first, come to duration, And then you've got two ways of doing things. You've got the Gantt chart way and the CPM way, you know. So Gantt chart way, you draw your lines, your bars, and CPM way here, you convert that into a network, and then we do the analysis. And depending on the network that you choose, it can be AOM or AOA. No? Anybody feels confused that you have certain issues that, that you don't understand? I mean, I have to see your face, so if you can talk, I don't mind. Okay, so it's either you don't know anything, you're just completely lost, or you just, you know everything. Okay, so that's either way. Okay, so no questions. Anything on the chat?
Dr. Teng.
Yes, Richard.
For the assignment, you are expecting us to have the first one will be activity flow chart, and then the second Gantt chart, the third one will be networking, and the fourth is resource planning. Am I right?
No. You didn't read the instructions at all. I already told you. I mean, that you are very, very confused. Okay, so what you need to do is you have to plan for your activity. So meaning that I already said to you, you message me also, and I will repeat this to you. Hopefully everybody can get it at once. Okay, that you need to come up with a project. Okay, a project, it can be a real life project or a project in IDP or any project. I don't constrain you. Just that don't give me imaginary project. Okay, I prefer to have a project that has a side and a background somewhere. Okay, so your part A will have a project background. Okay, 1 or 2 pages. You describe that project. Okay, then after that, from that project, you draw out 12 to 15. 12 is minimum. 15, I don't put a maximum, but 15 will be quite a lot already. So there'll be 12 to 15 of layer 1 or level 1 activities, such as structure work, geotech work. This is a level 1 activity. I'm not talking about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5 to phase 12 kind of thing. Okay, so it has to be hands-on working activity, layer 1, level 1, okay? Same terminologies, because in work breakdown structure, I've already mentioned, you break it down into 3 layers or 3 levels, or in Dr. Lee's example, it's probably 3 columns or 4 columns, okay? So it's either 3 or 4 layers, maximum 4 layers, or 3 or 4 levels, okay? So this 12 to 15 does not include layer 2. You don't calculate layer 2 in the numbers 12. The 12 has to be fully level 1. So that will be your work breakdown, okay? So once you've done your work breakdown analysis, you present that in your section 2, okay? So after that, you'll be planning for your resources. How can you do your Gantt chart first before you do your resources? You can't, I've been talking about this for the past 2 weeks, okay? So the report cannot give me a Gantt chart first and CPM second and then resources third, okay? You have to give me the resources first. Resources is the background and the basis for everything. So you need to plan out your resources, and I've already limited your resources to 3 categories for the assignments, and that is material, plant, machinery, equipment, that is 1 category, labor as 1 category. Okay, so with that 3 categories, you plan for your resources, how many persons that you need to use for the particular activity, how many persons, how many carpenter, how many bar benders, how many machineries, how many excavator, and you plan for that. Then after that, you need to know, or you need to create some production rate for all the resources that you have. Okay, and then from the resources that you have and the production rate that you have, then you will use it to calculate your activity duration, and then you draw your Gantt chart that way. And you just have to present at the last bit, the conclusion bit, your Gantt chart and explain a little bit about the Gantt chart. That will be your conclusion, okay? So basically, you have about 4 or 5 sections to this particular assignments. And you may say that 10 marks is a lot of marks. I mean, it's not a lot of marks for so much work, you know? But if you don't try it, okay, I can tell you, if you don't hands-on with this, all the theory that you're getting from me will be nothing that you can use, you know, when you get out there to work in the future. You have to really hands-on on this, okay? Previous years, especially for people who are sitting in this class and they're repeating right now, you have done Gantt chart and CPM, okay? And this is a totally different assignment, so don't go and be yourself and hand in the same assignments as last year. You can hand in the same kind of project, but you cannot hand in the same assignments. I'll give you 0 straight away, okay? This is a different assignment. I'm more focusing on resources this semester. And then the tool, the thing is, I'm giving you pair work. So this is actually a worth of about 20 marks kind of assignment to be done by 2 persons. That's the level of work that you're supposed to be giving, okay? So Richard, are we clear now?
Yes.
Okay, huh? Good. Anyone else is still confused about the sequences of how we have been mapping out our, you know, resources and time management? Okay. So just recall again, it will start off everything in project planning. You need to start off with the resources, what you have, what is given to you, and at the end of it, you have to combine what you have and what is given to you, you know, what is given to you and what you actually have and what you actually need into a sheet that is reasonable balance between what you have and what you need, you see, and then make use of those resources that you actually will be using. So there's 3 things here. Your company will give you certain resources. They will not give you full resources that you want. So you need to know what are the full resources that you want and what is the full resources that is being given to you, and then find a compromise between these 2, and that will be your resources chart. Okay, so from your resources chart, you would understand what you have, and you need to go and look at the production rate. Everything has a production rate. It may not be listed as simple as, you know, like you can, there's no Bible to production rate. There's no one book that has all the production rate. JKR will try to compile their production rate. CIDB will have something also, but every site and every person and every machines are actually different, okay? So depending on what you have, whatever that you get, the production rate from JKR or CIDB or anybody else, or from past experience, can only be a guideline. And then you need to judge for yourself whether you want to actually water it down a little bit. Meaning that if you say that your bricklayer, that this guy that you know can do 100 pieces of brick normally, but because you are getting a guy who is going to be less experienced, do you want to make it 90 bricks a day? You know, you need to determine that. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, a production rate that is not accurate. You know, you have to do it, you know. It's not about that the one that you present, the production rate is going to be 100% accuracy and your time is 100% accuracy. No, but it will help you to create a much more reasonable time because you understand your resources better. And nothing is absolute here. Time is not absolute, you know. Time is not to say that, you know, when I say the project, the activity will take 3 days, you will definitely get 3 days, you know, because in our civil engineering field, you still need to manage a lot of risk that comes with that, you see. So, but you need to start off with something that is reasonable and practical first, you know, that is planning. Then after that, from there, you have a calculation. Your production rate is actually the amount of work over time. So your work over production rate will give you the time, and the numbers of resources that you have will actually reduce the time. Okay? So if one guy can do 100 bricks a day, you've got 1,000 bricks, then you're going to use 10 days. But if you're going to have one guy working for bricklaying and two guys working for bricklaying, you probably finish in 5 days, so you can put 6 days or 7 days in the Gantt chart if you want to, you see. So that is how we actually plan out our duration. So once you've got your duration, using software or using manual work, and you sequence your activity nicely, you can draw your Gantt chart. And then you can do your network, okay? Obviously, we also want you to do some risk management in it, but I don't want to confuse you too much at this point in time. So when we reach risk management, I'll come back and explain all this, okay? All right, so that is the flow of how you really need to get the picture right, you see. Otherwise, all your knowledge that you're learning, you will feel like bits and pieces that does not join together in that sense, All right. So here, after we transform into a network, let me show you what an AON looks like first. So this is an example. I haven't posted you that exercise I want you to do. I will do that after today's class, okay? So that exercise is something like this, okay? It will look something like this. So these are all the work that you've created. These are all layer one work, you see? So from here to here, A to M, how many count do I have? Yeah, I practically have about 13 counts here already with a project like this, okay? So here, I've got 13 counts, okay? So this is layer one activity. And in Gantt chart, we never force you to do layer two because as long as you settle your layer one, it's fine, okay? So with your, then you can actually, if let's say this particular activity actually falls on your critical path, what you can do is you can take out those activities in layer two and recalculate what are the critical activities in layer two that will actually affect your layer one, you see. So you can go into detail with the analysis, but generally for presentation sake and also for analysis sake, layer one is actually more than enough. Some people, they like to take all the layer one and two and then they will jumble it up and then they will redo the entire network based on layer one and two. There are individuals who do things like that, but I don't like it. I find it too complicated. So, so my recommendation is to you just to do the layer one, and this is the layer one, and this is what we call AON. And AON will give you A is the activity name, activity identifier, description will also be there. So what we need to do is you will have like you need to split this up into like 6 boxes kind of thing. So this is one note, okay? So this is gonna be where your ES is. And we usually merge this and put your activity name here, site mobilization. And you put your identifier here, A, okay, and your duration here. Okay. If you're using AON as an analysis, then technically you're going to draw this for every one of these A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K to M. Okay, so this is my way. I think it's very nice, clean way. You can actually use this in your Excel, just do a layout, And then from there, this arrow here is just a direction, like the end of this activity A going towards activity B. There's no vectorial significance. There's no numbers on it. It's just event kind of thing, or it's just a direction kind of thing, So it's not so much of meaning. So all the meaning will fall onto the nodes here. Okay. So this is how you can take these examples and you can go back and take a look, and you see how this particular network is being created. Basically, you will see that I'll give you a little bit here. A has no predecessors. That means A is going to be the first activity. So then B will have A as a predecessors. So B will have A as a predecessors. And foundation, C will have B as a predecessors. D will have C as a predecessors. Okay. And E will have D as a predecessor. Same goes with F, G, E, F, G, H. All these three activities here has has D as a predecessors. So basically, you have E, F, G, H, okay, as a predecessors of D as a predecessors. Then when it comes to I has H as a predecessor. So I has H as a predecessors. And then J have G, H, I as a predecessor. J has G, H, I as a predecessors. K will have E, F, J as a predecessors. E, F, J as a predecessors. And then L will have K as a predecessors. And then the hand over bit will have the M as a M as L as their predecessors. So this is something that project managers needs to create and understand yourself. You need to create the duration. You need to create your IPA. You need to think about your sequential and your parallel activities before you can decide. So meaning that architectural, M&E work, and sewage work, drainage work, they are all moving at the same time. Okay, this is parallel activities. And then they may move at the same different timing, but they can move at the same time. So that's why these are all parallel activities, and these are all parallel activities as well. It's not interconnected with anything. So as usual, if your network, if your diagram, if your table here gets really big, so the way that you draw can get really complicated as well. So what you do is, as a project manager, determine your activity, determine your identifier, determine your duration, and then your IPA. So once you've got that, you can actually start to draw your network. So this is AON. Okay, so this one here is a tutorial. So what you can do is go home and try it. You're already at home. Okay, so you can stay home and try this out to see whether you're going to come up with the not to say the right answer, but you will know whether there's a right answer or not. Because basically, at the end of the day, there will be a route that goes from 0, 0, 0, 0 to here. It will be the same. Then it will all close up with one loop. It can be more than one loop, but it will be a stretch. It will be a stretch. It will close. If you don't close, say that once you do your backward pass all the way back here, and you get like here is 0, 1, and then at the end of the day you get like 2, 1, then something is wrong. Something is not right. Like the A and M will be on the critical path, and it definitely will be the right. It definitely will be the same. It will be on the critical path, and the top and the bottom will be exactly the same. So if you have the top big here, especially once you finish up your critical, once you finish up your forward pass and you do your backward pass, and then you end up here, that these two, this upper and lower are different, then it's an indicator that you have not done the analysis correctly, and you really should go back and look at everything all over again. This is a tips that I have to give you, especially when it comes to exams. Okay, so here, this is AON, arrow diagram. Activity on network, or what we call PDM, precedence diagramming method, PDM. So PDM is also what we call AON. Okay, so I will post this one up later on, so for you all to try, but this is not your assignment. This is just your tutorial. So you need to do this. I'm not expecting you to hand it in, but if you're going to be lazy about it and not try it out, it's just your own choice, okay? Then I will have another assignments, another short, another something like this that I'll be putting it up after this class. And you have to, if you want to hand it in, you can, okay? You can hand it in and I will give you 2 marks. And that 2 marks is 2 full marks. It's not 2 divided by 3 or 4 or 5. Okay, it's going to be 2 full marks out of 100%, meaning that you started to do this course with 102 marks. Okay, and hopefully that will help to pass some people later on, especially those are weak. If you get 48, these 2 marks is going to mean a lot to you. If you get 78, it will also mean an A for you. 2 marks actually means a great difference. Okay, so I hope you can treat it seriously in that sense, and try it out and hand it in. I will mark you. I will mark it correct or not. I'll just see who hand it in and I'll give them the marks. Okay, so those who doesn't hand it in on the date that you're supposed to hand it in, then too bad lah. Then I will not give you the marks. Okay, and also there are some attendance record that you need to do for last week, and also I think it will end today if I'm not wrong, and there's still some that is ended already on last Friday or something like that. So make sure that you all fill in your attendance record rigorously, especially in ellipse. Check your ellipse every day, okay? Because now we're doing in this COVID time, everybody is doing online classes. ellipse is really your mode of communication, and you really should check it like maybe twice a day, even kind of thing, yeah, to make sure that you got all the timing and everything correct. Okay. Right. So yeah, I've seen some people joining in and out of the meeting. Maybe the line is not very good. Okay. So let's move on. Right. I will be posting this lecture also later on in using YouTube. So now let's go for AOA example. You should know how to do both. Okay. So here I have an example of a few activities. It's about tank construction. So you imagine my project is coming up with a structure, a steel structure that will actually have pipes coming in from, there's some incoming pipes from the main pipes coming in all the way to the steel structure, and the steel structure needs to be built. It has to have a foundation, and then after that the pipe will crawl up to the top of the there will be some pumps at the back, at the bottom, to pump the water up to the top of the structure. And on top of the structure, there are some tanks that we have constructed waiting to fill up the water. This is a very common, what we call a delivery systems in water pipeline structure, in water pipeline distribution, especially when the water are being treated, it's already been treated, and coming out from the treatment plant, normally we will have a storage tank, and that storage tank, depending on the level that you are sitting on, then it can be a high level tank or it can be sitting on ground. If it's higher, if the level is a lot higher than the delivery bits of the system, meaning that the houses and everything, their levels are a lot lower than the way the pipes, where the storage are, then you don't need it. You don't need to climb up. But here from the treatment plant, you will come up to a pump, and the pump will pump the water up to the tank. And then from the tank, it would be by gravity normally down to the delivery systems, to all the water supply, distribution, water recirculation systems, to all the necessary users in the end. Okay, so the water must have enough of pressure all the way to the back house, the last house of the lot. Okay, to have your shower water and everything. So these are the activities that I've created. There will be tank fabrication, tank structure fabrication, meaning that the structures have to be fabricated. The structure will be fabricated off-site. Steel structures I've mentioned to you last year, that normally we don't fabricate that on site. You know, it will be off site and then transported to site, and then you will have your construction of foundations going on, and then you have the installation of tanks of the structure, and then install the tanks. After the structure has been completed, you install the tank, and then you will also excavate the trenches, okay, for the treatment plant all the way that will be underground, and then you will be I would say laying. Laying is a bit I would say installing water pipes somehow. I think I'll change this. Okay. But in your notes, you change it yourself. I think I've already given you the notes, so I'm not going to repost this note. So you install the water pipes that's crawling up, you know, that needs to be fixed along the steel structures all the way to the um tank, and then from there will be what the sun that's coming down, okay, and then your pump will be, you know, at the incoming, and after that you need to paint all the structures, commission it, and test it, and then hand over to it. So here also I think we have about a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, about 10. Okay, so 10, 11, 12 kind of major structure. In fact, I can list down a little bit more if I want to, you know, including site mobilization and also handing over, and also some of the more the downcoming pipe, you know, and all that, and more things on pumps and all that. So there is actually a lot more components to this, but this is a simplified version. So all these are level one activity. So if we talk about level two activities here, like tank structure fabrication, I can also put here things like uh, uh, shop drawings, shop drawings compilation, because for tank fabrication, I mean for structure fabrication, you need to come up with shop drawing, and then from there the cutting and also the fabricating of the materials of the steel, and then labeling of it, and then transporting it to site. So that will be a layer two, you know. So you do have a lot. So construction of foundation, we can use delivery of piles, driving of piles, okay, hacking of piles, and then pile caps. We can even break it down into another layer one. You know, it's a slab, construction of the slab. You know, foundation slab. That will be another one. So here I lump it into all foundation, but you know you can have piling as one layer, and then layer one, and then you also have construction of the foundation slab as layer two. You see, so then after that you install the tank structure. Okay, so this one will, you know, if you want to break it down some more, you can. If you don't want to, I think it's fine. Installation of tank also, it requires the delivery, the punching, you know, the connection work and all that. So there's a lot of this thing here. Excavation of pipe requires like digging, backfilling, you know, and then putting the pipe down, joining it together, putting sleevings in. You know, there's a lot of layer two that we can do, you know. So you understand, for your assignment also is something like this, okay? So you do your layer one, then you analyze your layer two, okay? Understand, huh? So this is how we do it, okay? So down, we need to draw the activity, okay? Let me see. Okay, I think I better show the diagram, it will be a lot easier. Hmm? Not of memory, what's this? Okay. So this is how I've designed my network. So for me, I would say that, okay, I give a lead time here. So normally for AOA, we will have a lead time, meaning that you plan for your project and it's a time 0, 0, okay? You don't have to do that. You don't have to, okay? So we can start off because it's actually on the arrow itself. So we prefer to do that, okay? If AON, I don't do lead time, okay? So here you have a lead time, and then you will have, okay, tank fabrication and construction of foundation, which I believe can be done parallel. There's nothing wrong with you guys. Some people working on site doing the foundation, wood piling and everything. And then there's tank fabrication that is being totally done off-site in a workshop environment, in a factory workshop environment. So once the tank fabrication is ready, okay, I mean, once the structures are ready, all the bits and composite components are ready, you're deciding to install it on site. So installation of tank structure has to be after your tank fabrication that is completed. So this is actually a sequential activities, okay? So once this is sequential, then you realize that, if let's say, how is my relationship with my foundation? The foundation has to be completed before I can put a tank structure on it, So then I need to show that relationship. Because activities are on the arrow now, you need to use the arrow to show the relationship. So meaning that my construction of foundation, I have to somehow link it to the installation of tank. It has to be put there first, like foundations have to be ready. So what I do is to show that relationship, I will put in what I call a dummy activity. This dummy activity does not represent any time or anything, but it's just to show that my construction of foundation has to be completed before my tank structure installation can start. Okay, so once you've got your tank, this relationship is clear up, then there will be installation of tank. So you can't put a tank on before you actually have your structure ready. Am I right? You can't hang the tank up in the air waiting for your structure to come. So this one has to be a sequential activity. Understand? So with people who are in construction of foundation, this group of people can be used plus all your main layers, that comes in. Actually, main layers are very specific, okay? So you can use some of the workers that you use for construction of foundation to actually help you with the excavation and the laying of the incoming main, okay? So then, with the incoming main, after you lay your incoming main, then you can do your riser main, meaning that you can install the one that is going upwards, okay? So when you're installing, obviously, if we want to put it as laying of the riser main, we can actually put this dummy activity to here even because, oh, no, wait. Yeah, correct. So the laying of the riser main will be after the tank construction. So before you install the tank, the riser main has to be up, okay? So if I put it here, meaning that this tank structure is not completed yet, sorry. So this is correct. So when you're laying your riser main, your riser main needs to go up through the structure. So that means your tank structures needs to be completed. And normally you have to lay your riser main first before you can install the tank. It has to be all aligned properly, and your tank goes there, screw it in, and then next tank, pipe, and then next tank and all that. So the riser main work will be holding a bit higher priority than the tank work. So here we will have the dummy activity to show the relationship that the riser main has to be completed first before we can install the tank. And this tank is going to be governed by these two items here, okay? The installation of the tank and also the riser main. So then after that, you paint the tank, and then install the pumps. And the delivery of pump, you can start from the lead time all the way So when you're doing the riser main, once the riser main is there ready already, the pump has to be there. You cannot leave an empty space for the pump and then do all your riser main and later on expect to connect it nicely. So what we do is the pump has to be there. You know, the riser, when you're doing your riser main, actually, the pump has to be there. And then before the tank is installed, the pump needs to be there already. So the pump is a very critical item. Without the pump, the whole thing doesn't work. Okay. So you install your pump, pan your tank, and then you do your testing and commissioning. So this is how me as a project manager, when I see this project and when I have this project in my hand, this is how I actually map up my network. Does any one of you have any opinion of how you should map out this network differently? I'm more than happy to listen because it's a different mentality sometimes. You know, some project managers, they would like to actually maybe even delivery of the main, you know, or they will put the delivery of the pumps here even before the laying of the riser main, which I'm fine with it as well, you know. I mean, so the analysis will be a bit different anyway. So it doesn't matter. You know, it's just the logic behind the network. Okay. Anybody has any questions on this particular examples and the logic behind the networks?
So basically, we'll list down all the major activities first, then we make a logical relationship
All right.
between the major activities. Then the end result will be like this figure in your screen.
Correct. Yes. So the end figure is like the one that I show you here and also the one that I've shown you in the AON example just now. At the end of the day, you need to come up with this network. Okay. So you can actually use the table that was given to you. I mean that you can use. Sorry, not given to you. No, the tables would not be given to you. The techniques, okay. So just now when I show you in the Excel files, remember there's a table that has activity identifier with the activity's name and also the duration. So that is where the last column is actually the IPA, the intermediate predecessors or preceding activities. So when you have that, okay, when you think about it through that method, same here also, I can create this whole thing here with the table, and I'll put down all my intermediate predecessors activities, and then after that, I can clearly start to create the network better that way. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to understand all your level one, what you want to be in the level one, what you think is very important in level one. It has to show the entire picture of the project. The activity that you've chosen, it has to be able to communicate to the audience that this is the work that is compulsory. It is the overall picture. It's all the bold lines of the project. Okay. So then layer two is the detailing. Understand? Okay. So if I put it in terms of project drawings, your level one would be a site plan, you know, and level two will be like your long site, you know, kind of thing. And then level three will be your small detailings. Okay. So but we don't want to go for too detailed. Sometimes if you go for too detailed, the analysis can be very complicated. Okay? So this is once you've got your level one, you understand what are all the activities in your level one, then you need to plan out your sequencing. Okay, so what is your sequencing? What is your IPA? What is your immediate predecessing activities? So after that, you start to draw your network. Okay, so at this point, I already assume that you've already done the analysis for your duration. Okay, because you've already done your Gantt chart, you know how to do it. You know where are all the durations. Okay. In fact, the IPA is not so difficult because during the Gantt chart time, you've also thought about the IPA already. So now it's just that after the Gantt chart, we get you to convert this into a diagram and then to do some analysis further so that our time management analysis is a lot more. Okay, then, yeah, so are you okay, Richard? Yeah, you understand? All right. So back to our, you can see that all my activities are actually on the arrow now. Okay. And previously the example that I showed you, all the activities are actually on the node. So these are two different types of network. Okay. And only with AOA you get dummy activities. I remind you, in exam I cannot compare. I don't know what is going to come out. It's either AON or AOA, but you will either get the table, okay, and it will be requested to you to do AOA or AOM, okay. It will be very specific, so you need to draw the network. If let's say uh, we give you the network, there'll be circumstances that we will give you the network, okay, but not the table. So the network way is everybody will get the same network at the end of the day. Okay, it's either I give you the AO, the table with the IPA table, or a network. So if I give you an IPA table, that means you need to draw the network. If I don't give you an IPA table, the network will be given. Okay, so this is what I can promise to you all. For exam purpose. So here, after you've done your duration, after you've done your network, you key in the duration. Okay, so this duration is actually always below or at the inner part of the network. So you have to place it nicely, like in that sense, to avoid any confusion. This is why I don't like it. So like we can put 3, 2, like this is 3 is a duration, 2 is a duration, 2 is a duration, 1 is a duration, 1 is a duration, 1 we call this 1 week or you want to put 1 month also, that's fine. Pain, commissioning, testing, commissioning. So these are all the duration. So the second step is do your duration, input all your duration, and then start to do your forward pass. Okay. So your forward pass will start from a 0, okay, and then plus 0. So because this activity has no duration, so it's actually 0, 0. So when it comes to here, this activity, how many intermediate predecessing activity or how many predecessors does it have? Is only 1. So you've got to put 3 here, plus 3 is 3. Remember the examples that I gave you, how to do forward pass and backward pass the other day, okay? So yeah, so it's the same. The idea is exactly the same. There's no differences here at all when you come to do forward pass and backward pass. So here, this activity 1, 2, 1, 3 will only have 1 predecessor. So you copy the ES over to, so the EF over to the ES plus the duration, you got your EF, okay? So then you do your network one by one. This one is dummy activity. How many predecessors, immediate predecessors does it have? It's only 1. Okay. So you just copy a 2 over, 2 plus 0 is 2. And then here, when you do your calculation, how many immediate predecessors do I have? The idea is you've got 1 and 2. Okay. Understand this one? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just owning your phone to sort of like watch TV or something on the other side, you're going to miss out on this. And if you don't understand this, you're just basically going to throw away at least 15 marks in exams, okay? I'm telling you that this is going to come out in exam. How much more do I have to say, okay? And yeah, so 3 plus 2 is 5, okay? So here, on this level here, how many immediate predecessors do I have? So I've only got 1, okay, 1. This one doesn't count because this one is going out, this one is going away, you only count those one that is coming in, see? So this arrow is very important. Really important when it comes to AOA, So the direction of the arrows. So here, you've only got 1. So 2, you copy over to 2, plus 1 is 3. Here also, you've only got 1, correct or not? And then you copy 3 over to here, plus 1 is 4. Do you guys understand or not? Because normally if we're in a classroom environment, we'll be going through this with you. And then at the end of the day, I will always I will walk through the entire class to make sure that everybody knows the calculation, Here, we don't have the liberty of doing that. So all you need to do is to keep on repeating the lecture and listen to the lecture and get all these numbers when you try it out yourself later. And in my previous experience with all the seniors, there is bound to be about 20 or 30% of people who don't know, hey, how come where this 7 comes from? Oh, how come this 8 comes from? Oh, where that 9 comes from? They will be confused, So, but what you need to do is to be systematic about it, So when you're systematic about it, it's always when you put yourself like a chess piece, like you imagine yourself playing that aeroplane game, you put your aeroplane onto each and every step or Monopoly, So whenever you are on that particular petak, and in this case, like I say, if I'm on this activity 5-7, and this is my riser main, my duration is 1 day. So what is my immediate predecessors? I am riser main now, okay? What is my immediate preceding activity? And it's actually this one. There's only one. This is only one arrow shooting in here, and then so there's only one immediate. So you only copy 3 to 3 over the ES, the EF of the previous to the EF of the current. The ES of the current, yeah. Okay, so 3 plus 4. So here also, we will look at this one here. Basically, duration is 7. You start off with 0. 0 plus 7 is 7. So when I am looking at this particular dummy activity, okay, when I'm looking at this dummy activity, how many predecessors do I have? I've got 2, there's 2 arrows shooting in here to this petak, So then I have to choose the bigger one. Remember I say that, the bigger one. And then it's always when you're going forward past, when there's more than 2 choices, 2 or more choices, you pick the biggest amount of 2, okay, or 3 or 4. So like the other example just now, the Excel worksheet one, there's 4 going in, there's 3 or 4 going into one activity. You need to pick the biggest out of the lot of the EF so that you can pick the ES that is the biggest, okay? So here, 7 plus 0 is 7. And then here, okay, when I have my immediate, I'm here at activity 4-6. What is my immediate predecessor? How many do I have? How many do I have, ladies and gentlemen? Can somebody answer me? How many do I have? 4-6. How many immediate preceding activities do I have? Anybody wants to try? Amanda? Amanda, you want to try, Amanda? Amanda, are you there, Amanda? Amanda Mary?
Yes, doctor.
Yes. So what do you think? If I'm here at this activity, how many immediate immediate preceding activity do I have?
3.
Why 3? This one here, there's only one arrow coming out, but how many arrow going into here?
Oh, how many arrow going into 6, is it?
How many arrow going into here? This is my activity. So there must be some immediate preceding activity. Immediate preceding activity is what comes before. What comes before 4-6? 4-6 is the name for that particular activity, So how many immediate preceding activity do I have? Immediately preceding, meaning that immediately before. Where did you get your 3?
Sorry, doctor, I'm not sure about the answer.
Yes, that means you don't understand, okay? Anybody else? Dennis? Dennis, are you there, Dennis?
I'm here. Wait. I'm here.
Okay, so Dennis, what do you think is the numbers that is what are the how many activities do you how many activities comes before this activity? I'm only asking for a number. How many activities do you think comes before, immediately coming before? You don't know also?
I don't know, man.
Well, I've been explaining all this while. If I explain here that how many activities do I have for this particular activity, I only have one. There's only one that comes before this particular activity. How many activities do I have here? I've got two activities that comes before. You look at the node itself, how many arrow coming in and how many arrow going out, okay?
Coming in is 2.
Yes, the answer is 2. You've got this activity has 2 before it. Because if you look at the node itself, there's 2 arrow going in and 1 arrow going out. Out is the one that you are looking at, okay? So the answer is 2. So ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you guys are not listening, you know? You are seriously not listening. Okay, never mind. This really can't be helped in the sense, you know, if you don't have the attention span to listen. Okay, so we've got these 2 activities that is coming in before my activity here, which is the installation of the tank. Okay, so if I have a choice of 2 here, which one do I pick? Which one do I pick?
The larger one.
The larger one. Good. Good. So you pick out of 5 and 7. You pick 7. That's the larger one. Okay. And if I look at this particular activity, this is something that is a bit confusing now. Okay, so if I look at this particular activity, which is the installation of pump, I believe, okay, you've got, we name it 7 and 8, this arrow, okay, 7, 8 arrow. So this particular activity, I'm putting my hand palm on that particular activity now. Everybody can see it, right? So how many activity before has to happen before installation of pump can happen? You guys better look at this carefully because I'm going to start calling names again, you know. Nadia? Nadia, are you here, Nadia?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, what do you think? How many activities before this activity can happen?
2.
2, good. Is this one and this one correct or not?
Yes.
And this one is going out, huh? So this one doesn't count, okay? Because this is going away. So there's only 2. So when there's only 2, the choice is between 4 and 7. Then you pick the
larger one.
Larger one. Fantastic. Thank you, Nadia.
Alright.
All right. So here, if I look at this activity, how many activities that comes before this activity? Okay. Liu Xiuqing, Leo, are you what, spiritually here, physically not here, is it? Yes, can you hear?
Yeah.
So how many activities immediately before this activity?
One.
One, are you sure it's one?
Two.
Two, it's so obvious, isn't it? The arrow is here and this one and this one before this one can happen. Okay, so you all, you have to understand this idea of where you stand and asking yourself that question, because this is critical. This is the main thing of the whole critical path analysis. You cannot do forward pass by guessing the numbers on there, you know. It's very simple mathematics, but if you guys don't understand the background behind it, you guys are going to be doomed, okay? Finish, okay? The idea is you always put yourself into one of the activities and ask yourself how many activities that comes before that activity. This is the formula I'm talking about here, okay? I'm not talking about rubbish here, okay? I'm not talking because it's fun. Because if you don't understand this particular concept of putting yourself standing in that particular activity and looking at the activities before, you would not be able to finish your forward pass full stop, okay? Then after that, in your backward pass, you copy this down, minus it off. So this number is going to be perfectly matching top and bottom, okay? Now I'm going backwards. So if I put myself in this activity where my palms is, okay, and I will ask myself the questions of how many activities that succeed me. The question is succeeding me now. There's only one succeeding activities, okay? Succeeding is only one, okay? Right, so you just copy the 9 down and minus it off, okay? So here I've only got one succeeding as well, okay? I've only got one succeeding as well. Wait, I'm actually sorry. Sorry, I'm lost in the thing. Yeah, so you've only got one. So this one you have to copy over is 9, okay? I'm trying to find one that is having more than one. Okay. If I look at this particular one, okay, if I look at this particular one, if I look at this particular activity, okay, there will be 2 succeeding activity, okay? So from 8 and 7, you're picking 7. You're picking the smaller one. So when you're going backwards, ladies and gentlemen, when you're going backwards, you always ask yourself, how many succeeding activity do I have? Okay. And if the answer is more than 1, 2 and above, you pick the bigger one. So those that is, if I'm standing here, how many succeeding activity do I have? Succeeding. Next one. One. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Izudin. Good, you are listening. Okay. And here, what about this one? How many do I have? Somebody want to try? Yes? Isaac?
1.
No, wrong. Because why? You
Oh.
got 1, 2 coming out. You see, this if this is a type of mistake that you make, then you never close your loop, you see. And then that means the whole CPM will fail, you know, and then in exam, that will be whole question that is failed. If you guys don't get this question 100%, this is the only question in the whole examination later on that you will be able to score full marks. And I will not be able to deduct any single marks off you at all. So these questions, there will be usually 7 questions in the exam, and one of them will be this type of question. And this kind of question will take 15% out of that 100%. And then and this is the only one in the whole lot of the 7 questions that you can score full marks, because the rest are all more written questions, minor calculations and all that, plus other theoretical questions. You cannot get full marks for those kind of questions because it's to my liking. If I don't like your answer, you don't get the full marks. Even if you can memorize the whole book to me, I also cannot give you full marks because it's essay question. You never get essay question full marks. Okay? So here, this is the only chance that you have to get a full marks question. So I would really recommend you guys to take this seriously and go through the example really, really seriously. Okay? Right, so I also want to emphasize on the mistake here, okay? This one here, I have to put here, this arrow, it cannot be 0022, okay? Because this arrow is actually based on these 2 numbers. Actually, we have another one here that goes back directly to the center. So the choice is actually supposed to be this. Actually, this is wrong in that sense. I should make a correction here. We should put the arrow here because in the lead time, at the start of the lead time, you order the pump. So this one has to be 0, 0. It will always end up with a 0, 0. So can you all, when you get the notes, try to rectify this mistake here, okay? So that's why I was a bit distracted when I saw this thing. How come it wasn't detected last year? Cannot be there. Yeah. Probably slipped my memories, okay? So anyway, this is forward pass, backward pass, and then you can actually do this particular table that I've also shown you in the last recording. Why is this turning into blanks? Something wrong with the screen. Let me off this and reopen it. Okay, so based on the pictures that you get, okay, so what you do is, you can create this one here. I mean, like, this is what we call IJ notes, but in AON, I'll put it as an activity as an identifier. You can just put as an identifier as well, that's fine. You don't really have to use IJ note if you don't want to. Okay, so the duration, and then you key in all the ES and EF that you've already calculated. And yeah, so this is 0, ladies and gentlemen. Put it as 0. Actually, lead time are always very confusing. Okay, so lead time is always 0. So put this as a 0. This is some mistake here. So take note of the mistake. And then what we do is you do the minusing. Okay, you do the minusing, and then you get your total float. Okay, so I'll leave you guys to work out on the free float. Okay, I think you've learned that previously in the last. If you look at the last recording, then you have all the free floats that is being calculated. The choices and everything. I mean, I know I'm leaving it to you, and it's pretty much quite dangerous. And I'm not sure whether you can actually do it, but well, it's a matter of which students are actually more careful, and you will do it. Okay. So, but then if you want to look at critical path, basically critical path is this one. Okay. The table actually helps you to, actually, I don't really suggest using the table. It's just a way of presentation. What you need to do is just top minus the bottom. Actually, if the top and the bottom numbers are exactly the same, if it's total float 0, it is on the critical path. So this one here is definitely going to be on the critical path. So this one, the critical path will look like this. Okay. 7, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, okay, 9, 10. So delivery of the pump to the installation of the tank, to the painting of the tank, to commissioning will be your critical path. Okay, so that is total float. So total float is basically the top and the bottom number. When you minus it off, there is no numbers, 0. Then you have a total float of 0. But if you have a number, that means that activity is not on a critical path. That means that activity can be delayed for a certain amount of days before it will delay the entire activity. So I think last week the question is what is free float and what is total float. Anybody has any questions on what is total float and what is free float? Okay, so total float is basically the duration or the float time or the spare time that is available to you in order for you to actually not delay the entire project duration. Okay, free float are the activities, are the spare time or the time that is available to you all that will not delay the next activity. The difference is entire project is total float. Next activity, delay the next activity is the free float. Okay, so I think I do not want to burden you some more now. I will stop here. So you've got this particular example to go through, and I've also got the other AON example in the Excel Word file here for you to try out. Okay, and then we will also have another short mini exercise. Don't worry about these files here. I'll explain it in the coming pre-recorded or face-to-face. So this particular exercise, okay, I don't know why my view is like that. So this particular exercise, I need you to hand it in if you want the 2 marks extra. If you don't want the 2 marks extra, it's fine. You know, I mean, it's your choice. If you're happy with 100%, it's fine. But if you're not happy with 100%, you want to get some spare marks ready, 100 or 2 marks, then this is the exercise that you have to do. So I'll be posting up this one, today's lecture, and also the WBS, the Excel one, and also the AON example. So I think if I were you, I would try all three to do the calculation to see if you can get it. Okay? If not, then we can talk about it like this Thursday or this week. I think, do you prefer a pre-recorded or would you prefer something like this for the next session? Next session, I'll be explaining on free float and how to use free float, and then, you know, how to play with resources and all that. It's quite a heavy lecture as well, actually. Do you prefer pre-recorded so that you can listen to the 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes as, you know? Hello, anybody? Because if pre-recorded, it will be split into 10. Huh? Sorry?
Pre-recorded and face-to-face, I think both okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. I'll see how it goes, because pre-recorded is, so maybe it's more focused on certain things, and then you may be a bit like you know, more easy to go to that certain bits. But if online face-to-face, you can ask questions straight away, like in that sense. Not everybody say both okay, you might as well don't talk lah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll stop here. I'll do the let me do QR code. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
This is group one attendance sheet. How come got 50 people? One? Group two? Group three? NRR people? NRR. Siapa NRR? Okay, I will go through the attendance once again. NRR, anybody? Any else? If not, then I'll off it up. Civil 1, anyone else? If there is somebody else, you have to speak it up to me now, okay? So I assume no one else from group 1?
Group 3, madam.
Wait. I go through one group by one group. Group 1, anyone else? If not, I off it, Group 2. Any more puncher? Anyone cannot register? Needs a manual for group 2? No? No? Move on? No? Yes? No? Group 3. Dennis, you is it?
Doctor, I need manual attendance.
Which one? Group 3, right?
Yeah, 3.
Number?
63837.
Theodore.
Yes. Okay, thank you, doctor.
Anyone else? Group 3?
Me too. 6 triple.
You sure?
Thank you,
Anyone
doctor.
else? Group 3? No more, huh? Off, NRR, no more, off, Okay, so I think everybody is done. Let me see anything on the chat group that I need to answer. Okay, regarding the assignment, do we have to pick one whether to use AON or AOA? If the 2 marks assignments, the 2 marks, 3 marks one, do AON. AON, okay? For pair assignment, are we allowed to mix the group? Yes, you can go to other groups and pick a partner. It's just pair. I don't really care whether it's going to be you're from group 1 or group 2, group 3. But when you hand it in, just make sure that everybody has to hand it in. It doesn't mean that the pair assignment only one person hand in, So both need to submit. Because the name is there, so I can mark it accordingly. Okay, so I think we're done. So I'll see you guys next this coming Thursday, okay? See you, bye.
Dr. Tim,
Yes?
I'd like to share about my assignment progress. So right now, already identified all the major activities, and now I'm proceeding to make a activity flow chart, like what Dr. Lee's punya exercise given, like that lah, so I can see all the flow process of the activities. So I noticed that for the allocated time, like how many days for this particular work, we just how do we like allocate that time? Do we like give a very logical time frame?
I seriously doubt. I seriously think that you have a big listening problem, Richard, because I've already explained just now to you that I do not expect you to pull figures out from the air. You know? So I mean, I'm getting a bit annoyed, because your questions are repeating and repeating. Okay, so it's either you go and listen to this lecture from the beginning. I've already mentioned production rate. Did you hear production rate? Did you in any way hear the word production rate I've been talking about?
Yes.
So what do you do with the production rate? Can you explain to me? So you've got your flow of activity. Am I right?
Yes.
So have you done your resources?
Resources not yet.
Then what are you talking about duration?
Okay.
You understand?
Hmm.
I already told you, and I repeat again, and this lecture is being recorded. If you rewind back, anyone else want to help me to answer this? After you have done your work breakdown, or your level 1 and level 2, level 3, whatever, what is the next thing that you do? Can somebody explain to me now? Instead of me explaining to you guys, like maybe already since this class already 3 times, and previously in the assignment also, I've also mentioned resources, okay, many times. Can somebody else actually tell me now, after you have break down all the activities, what do you do next?
Plan the resources needed for each activity.
Yes, correct. Then why are you asking me about duration? So after you've planned out all your resources, what do you do next?
Find the production rate for each activity.
Not for each activity, for each resources. Production rate don't go with activities. Production rate goes with resources. Okay? So you've got your production rate. So you know your numbers of carpenters, you know your numbers of bar benders, you know your machineries, you know your excavator, you know your materials, the number of materials needed. Okay? So with that information, can you do a duration?
Yes.
How?
Production is
Anyone else want to help me? What is production rate? Production rate is what over what?
The output divided by the duration.
Yes. So your production rate is output divided by duration. Output is the amount of work that needs to be done, correct or not? You can probably get it from the material perspective. All the material, all the resources is actually a planning. That one you can have it can be a logical thing. Okay, so that one there's no right or wrong. So if you say that you've got 100 bricks, that is a quantity, that is the output that you have to do. So if your production rate is 100 bricks a day, so what is the duration?
Right.
Production rate is output over time. So your production rate for that one brick layer is 100 bricks a day. You've got 1,000 bricks. What is the duration? Anyone else?
1,000 divided by 100.
Yes. So the answer is
10.
10 days, right? So that is the duration. If you say that
Concept.
that activity is laying of bricks, then
10x.
your duration will be 10, isn't it?
Hmm.
So do you know how to get your duration now?
Yes.
And don't ask me whether it's based on logic.
I
Okay.
too fast jump to this duration equation.
No, you're not listening to what I said just now. That's the problem. Okay. I already mentioned that you have to go through the process, is the resources first, and then after that, the production rate of the resources, and after the production rate of the resources is the determination of the sequencing and the determination of the duration. And that's how you can draw your final Gantt chart. Anyone else has a similar problem? Okay. Okay, so your progress is actually up to work breakdown, but you still need to do your resources planning, and that is going to be the heaviest of the lot. Anyone else want to discuss about your assignment? The discussion of the assignment is all in this lecture. I think it's somewhere in the first half of the lecture, and now at the end of the lecture. So if you guys want to listen to what I've said just now again and again, you have to record and play it over and over again now. I mean, I do not mind explaining things to you guys, okay? And when you have a question, I'm very happy that you ask questions. I definitely am, okay, that you all are asking questions. But when you ask questions, you listen, okay? You have to listen. And if you don't understand it at that point in time, just raise up your hands again and we can discuss further. Don't, after I talk for like 20 minutes, and you don't say you don't understand, but then 2 days later you come back to me and it's still the repeated same questions. That is the part that I will not like. Okay, I mean, it's very difficult to explain things without face to faces. That's for sure. Okay, but then if you guys are not listening, then what's the point of me explaining? You see. So explaining things 2 times is fine as well. Explaining things 3 times is fine as well, as long as you already catch something, you know. Don't let me explain A to Z again like the 5th or 6th time. I mean, I am not a very passionate person. Sorry. Okay. Anything on IDP that you want to ask?